So I am Sana Khurshid. I am a lawyer and I'm a disability advocate. And I happen to be a wheelchair user as well.
So could you give us some medical history for your condition?
Okay, so I was not born with a disability. When I was a teenager in the first year of medical college, I met with a road traffic accident on the motorway, as a result of which I got a spinal cord injury at my cervical, the neck level. That means I'm paralyzed from the neck downwards. I'm a quadriplegic wheelchair user. That means all four limbs are paralyzed. I cannot walk and I do not have any hand function.
Yeah, I'm very sorry about that. So how have your parents and your family treated you? Have their attitude been different?
I am very lucky and I am very privileged and blessed to say that I was born into a family that did not treat me any differently. I mean, in to give them credit, I think I have been given more importance now than I was before my accident. So I belong to a family of doctors, so maybe that helped as well. And I always say, whoever I am, wherever I am today, is all because of the love, the support that my family has given me. I call my family, my immediate family, my aunts, my uncles, my friends, even I call them my army of support. Never have they let me feel that I have become different somehow. I forgot who I was after my accident. I mean, I had given up. I refused to accept this new person that I had become, the paralyzed, the helpless piece of vegetable that I had become, bedridden, and sick all the time. But my family, they never let me feel for a second that I was less than anybody or I was not the same as I was before. For them, I have been always the same Sana, before or after the accident. I don't think you are anything without your family's support, and those of us who have that,
True.
we should be incredibly grateful for that. It's a big, big blessing.
True. So this support that you felt, did you feel the same support in your school environment? You said you were in medical college at the time.
Yes, but the kind of injury that I suffered from, I was like bedridden for the initial few years of my life. So I never went back to college because obviously that was in medicine, the field of medicine for a quadriplegic was not possible anymore. But the friends that I even made for a short time over there, and my older friends as well, you know, um, they never let me feel that I was not like them anymore or I had become different. Obviously, it was not the same. They were living their life while I was there on the bed feeling ill and sick and not knowing whether I'll survive or make it to the next day. Maybe their attitudes didn't change, but mine sort of did. But I was lucky initially that my friends and my family, they made a big effort to really make me a part of their lives. I mean, my friends used to come from college and used to update me with all the things and all the gossip and all the going around. And so that was kind of them, and that was really sweet of them. And they still do come, and so yeah, it's not as if people's attitude, the people who knew me, the people who loved me, their attitudes never changed. You expect unconditional love from your family and your friends. So yeah, so you're, like I said before, you're incredibly lucky if you have really supportive uh, people around you. They are the ones who sort of make you.
So let's talk about transport. How has that been impacted? How do you get around that?
Okay, so initially after my accident, I never used to go out much because I was so self-conscious and I didn't even have the energy to go out that much as well.
Yeah.
So finally, when my family pushed me to, that come on, let's go out. I remember the first time we went to a restaurant and there were no ramps and there were 3 steps. And at that time, my wheelchair was really heavy. It was a very heavy duty chair. And, and the staff was kind enough to lift me up those 3 steps. But I felt so embarrassed, so conscious of the fact that the Urdu word tamasha is the best thing to describe that, because I thought everybody was looking. I don't know if they were, but I was so self-conscious. I felt like everybody's eyes were on me and they were saying, "Oh, who is this?" It was very embarrassing. It was very awkward. It was very frustrating. It was very depressing. You know, so accessibility, mobility, and for that matter, I avoided going to a lot of public places. I mean, when I used to go out, it used to be to some very close relative or friend's place. I used to feel more comfortable going home than rather than a public place, because I knew there'd be no facilities for me. I did not want to make a big hue and cry and a big deal out of, I wanted to be invisible at that time. I didn't want anybody to give me an extra glance, because I was feeling very self-conscious at that time. Because at that point, initially, I was accepting this new me myself. I was accepting the fact that I was a wheelchair now. So for me to, I was going through my whole process of accepting my new self. And if somebody else came up to me and asked me questions, it used to really pull me down. It was very awkward and it was very embarrassing. And I used to feel really low after coming home. So I used to avoid going to public places. But now things have changed for the better.
Have you've gotten used to it? You've adapted?
And I'm very happy to see that. Now when I go out, I have adapted. No doubt I've developed a thick skin. I've learned to mute out the noise from the actual, positivity that comes my way. And I think recently, since the past few years, I have been very vocal about the inaccessibility in public and commercial places. And I think I've taken it up as a fight. And that, when you take a thing up as a challenge, it sort of just brings out your fighting spirit. And then it becomes fun, I think,
Your
when
attitude
you
towards it
have,
changes.
yes, when you're out there to tell people and prove them wrong. They people expect people with different abilities, people with disabilities to be invisible, but they are not going to be invisible anymore. And I think they
Shouldn't be.
need to accept that.
Hmm. So you were talking about how people used to ask you questions. When you used to go out, did you feel like there was any form of prejudice when you were meeting new people or talking to new people?
Oh, definitely. I mean, first of all, they never used to direct a question towards me directly, as if I wasn't there. I was talked over. If my sister was standing next to me, they'd come up and ask, "Oh, what happened? Can't she walk?" I was like, "I'm right there. At least say hello to me and ask if, is it okay to talk?" They ask the most disturbing questions. And when you're out somewhere to eat, you're in a different frame of mind. You want to come out and enjoy and just forget about whatever things that are, the issues that bother you. But no, people would come up to me and be so intrusive and ask the most personal and intimate questions, even though they were complete strangers. And the fact that they used to ask my sisters or somebody who was standing next to me was very annoying, and used to make me very angry, that at least had the guts to ask me to my face. So yeah, people. But now and the glances that I used to get, and people whispering and giving you those odd looks. I think society as general, I think they forget that there's a lack of empathy in our society and a lack of sensitivity in our society. But it's changing now. It's changing. People are realizing, I think it's there's realizing that you cannot just block out a certain segment of the society just because they're different from you. And people's attitudes are changing, or maybe I've developed a thick skin. I don't know, could be it's a mixture of both.
Okay. So if you feel comfortable, can you narrate some incident in which you
uh
have been?
there have been so many. I mean, like I went to a restaurant once, and I'd been there before, and I requested them to make a ramp, and they still hadn't. And it's a restaurant that does really well. And I put up a post on Facebook in a foodies group, and the kind of commentary that I got was that, oh, if she cannot walk, Why does she even want to go to a restaurant? Why doesn't she stay in her car and eat? And oh, look, she's made the waiters carry her and still she's not happy. And stuff like that. And it's sometimes, you're like, what is wrong with these people? Do they not have a
Exactly.
heart? Do they not have any empathy? Do they not realize that anything can happen to anybody at any time? I mean, it's weird. And these are so-called very
Educated people.
educated people who've been abroad, who have seen the world, who have seen how the developed countries treat their people with disabilities. And and another incident I remember at the airport. A person got into a fight with my sister, and he was mumbling, and not even mumbling, he was sort of talking to himself in a very loud voice that, oh, why did they let the wheelchair go first? And he was being very rude, and then he started using a really got abusive, that why have you let the wheelchair go first? And it was for me, it was very, even though I'm used to these sort of people, but at that point it was very traumatic for me. And my sister is not the fighting sort, but even she had to be rude to him. And that person, he wasn't embarrassed at all. And I don't think he stopped for a second to think that, what the hell am I saying? Who am I saying it to? But I think there are these, I feel and I hope these people, these rude people, are the exceptions. And I and mostly I've encountered good people, very
Mm.
positive, good, people who'd come up to me and say a loving word of support, or anything. And but these rude people, and I'm hoping and I'm glad that they are the exceptions. And the more we name and shame them, it's better. I really posted that guy's video all over the internet. I hope he saw what people had written for him.
So, in times of difficulty, when you do encounter these rude people or when you're feeling low, what coping mechanisms do you turn to? How do you deal with it?
Like I said before, I've learned to separate the noise from the things that actually matter. And what I've realized over the years as I've grown older, and that if somebody says something to me, or if somebody does an action which sort of offends me, that has got nothing to do with me. It's a reflection on them.
Yes.
It's their issue. See, so nothing is wrong with me. Something is very wrong with them. So once you realize that, it sort of it doesn't really get to me anymore. So I just feel sorry for the other person, that that person has so much bitterness, and so he's so ignorant, and he's very proud of his ignorance. So I think like just realizing that it's not me, it's them.
So, as an activist, can you tell us about the work you've done and what you plan to do? How do you plan on, solving this issue?
Okay, so when I started off this whole accessibility journey, I started really small. I started by calling out any place that I went to which didn't have a ramp. And once we got talking, I engaged with a civil advocacy firm, and we started sending letters to authorities that they had our building code specified, the LDA's building code specified that a ramp and a disabled toilet is mandatory in every public and commercial building. So we started from writing letters. We used to get replies, but nothing was happening. So we thought we'll file a petition in the High Court, and we did. So we filed a petition, and it was a very narrow request of just getting the already existing laws implemented. Okay, so but that petition did not get anywhere. We spent 2 years going to court, and in the end it was disposed of because there was a Supreme Court judgment which said that people with disabilities need to be given all sorts of rights, and if there aren't any grievances, they are always welcome to come to court, and the court will facilitate that. Now see, going to court is not very easy. Obviously, no, not everyone has the means to do that. So last year we filed another fresh petition, and this time we did not just ask for a ramp and a disabled toilet, but we asked for accessibility of all kinds for people with all kinds of disabilities. And we were very lucky that our case was heard by Justice Jawad Hassan of the Lahore High Court, and he went above and beyond of what we had asked for. He made us, he made us sit down with LDA, DHA, and we worked with them, and they incorporated accessibility clauses in their building codes. And then he got us involved with the government department, the social welfare department, to formulate a law for people with disabilities, which would deal with every kind of issue, and from education to healthcare to employment, everything. Every right and every privilege and every benefit that a able-bodied person enjoys should be available to people with disabilities, to people with all kinds of disability. So we last year we worked hard on that draft bill, and that draft bill is ready. It has been passed by all the standing committees, and all the, I think, bureaucratic hurdles are all clear. And I soon, inshallah, it will be presented in the Punjab Assembly. And once it is passed, it's going to make a big difference to the lives of people with disabilities, because it would not only protect them, but it would empower them to lead the life of dignity and freedom which they all deserve. Trust me, there are so many people with disabilities who's doing much more than me. Like I said, it's a whole community, and everybody. It makes me very happy that I have sort of, when there's access, when you give them, you know tell them that this space is available for you, this public space, this public commercial space welcomes you, then a lot of people with disabilities do come out. And I think that helps in turn. It helps the society in seeing, when they see people with disabilities come out and enjoy the same kind of things that they do, then it sort of normalizes the whole situation. And when there's more visibility, there's more acceptance. And yeah, and a lot of people say, regarding my work, I met a lot of people with disabilities, and everybody is doing such amazing work. And let's see, I feel that Pakistan has changed. There has been a great shift in the attitude of how people view people with disabilities now. I think the society has become more accepting.
That's what we need. So, I mean, aside from the work that you're doing, do you feel like the already existing infrastructure, like NGOs and other such facilities, are they doing justice to your cause? Are they, providing you with the facilities that you need?
See, I am not associated with any NGO, and I'm not working with anybody. I work on my own. And but yeah, like I said before, there are a lot of NGOs and a lot of the people who are doing great work, and it's like a whole community, and they do support each other. And yeah, I think because at the end of the day, if you don't work together, then there's no point in working. Then you sort of work
True.
against it. So you need to work together as a team, because at the end of the day, we're all working towards the same goal. To make an accessible and an inclusive and a diverse environment where everybody can, live and thrive and be independent.
So you have the resources to equip yourself better. Do you feel like the people who don't are at a disadvantage?
Oh, definitely. When this whole journey of accessibility sort of started for that, because I could have easily gone anywhere. I've written posts about this as well. I have a wheelchair which is very light. I don't weigh that much as well, so it's very easy to lift me anywhere. And since I'm not very conscious, I don't really care if I'm being lifted like a flight of stairs. If people stare, I don't care anymore. But there are a lot of people who do not feel that way. So and for making and since I cannot write, I got a writer when I did my LLB and LLM later on. And I did not join any university because they were not accessible, and so I'm entirely self-taught. But there are a lot of people who cannot do that. So this whole journey, this whole fight was for people other than me, because I could have easily gone by without getting ramps made or stuff. But this whole point was for that, because I realized that not a lot of people are as privileged or have not been blessed with the kind of platform that I had been given, that I could raise my voice. I knew people, I could go up, I had the confidence now. So yeah, that I sort of took it as a responsibility. And I think this the training of my school also comes in that we were taught in our school that one of the mottos was live for others. So I think as I've grown older, I've realized what it actually means. So I've said this before as well, that we all live a life for ourselves, but the true life is the one that is, that you live for others. And if I can help one person, feel comfortable when he goes out, or one person who can go join university, I feel vindicated. I feel happy and proud that okay, I've improved somebody's life. So it was uh, these ramps, they're not just for, it was not made for me, it was for everybody. And getting a ramp made was not just for the sake of getting a ramp made. It's a symbol. It symbolizes that the
Empowerment.
society is ready to accept people with disabilities, and the people with disabilities are ready to live a life like anybody else.
Yes, definitely. So, what are your future plans and aspirations in your professional life, in your personal life?
In professional life, I'm waiting for the bill to be passed, and once the
Okay.
act is in force, then me and my lawyer will also say, then the real fun will begin. That then, because then we'll have a legal leg to stand on. So professionally, I'm looking forward to that, and there's a lot of work to be done. I mean, because this is just a starting point. It's just the start of the journey. This is just the first step. There's like a whole uh, accessible universe to be conquered. And personally, I'm in a good space. I'm in a good mental space. So yeah, my injury has taught me that it's good to make long-term goals, but I think start with small goals, baby steps. Because once you achieve like a small goal, then you can appreciate yourself, and you can pat yourself and be
Yeah.
proud of yourself. So that's what I do in my personal life, small goals.
Well, we're done with the interview. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you so much. It was really nice meeting you all.
It was
And
nice meeting you too. We really enjoyed the interview.